over the curbing. He's still gunning it, is Ricciardo, and he's still on for a personal best. He's down in 16th position at the moment, but that looked pretty aggressive through the final corner. He's not really going to improve very far. He might get ahead of Raikkonen and Kvyat up into 14th spot or something. He's currently in 16th position, comes across the line and remains in 16th, but that looked quite aggressive on the exit of 5.
Yeah, he lost a huge amount of time there, and Ricciardo comes across and doesn't improve the lap time. Ricciardo, he just straddled the curb coming into 6, got wide at 5, the left-hander, straddled the curb at 6, and that put him, as well as bouncing the floor all along the underside of the curb, very bouncy. There'll be some damage to the underside of the car. He also then emerged on the wrong part of the track for the right-hander at turn 6.
Russell's gone off at turn 1.
I think that might have been his attempt, where he barreled in a bit more speed into turn 1 and then didn't manage to improve that first sector. He's back in the pits now.
Sound you can hear is Ricciardo returning to the pit lane, and we have got 6 minutes to go. Pietro Fittipaldi's going for another lap in the Haas, coming down towards turn 1. Ricciardo going very slowly back to the pit lane, but Verstappen looks like he's going to end this session quickest on a 54.064, 2 tenths ahead of Bottas, 3 tenths ahead of Gasly. AlphaTauri looked strong yesterday in free practice 1, and Gasly's in there again, with Ocon in 4th position, Norris in 5th. And then Albon, Russell, Perez, Stroll, Sainz the top 10. Giovinazzi, Leclerc, Vettel, Kvyat, Raikkonen in the top 15. Ricciardo, Magnussen, Latifi, Fittipaldi and Aitken in the top 20. Ricciardo's staying out there. He's just on a very slow lap, but he's not coming into the pits.
Well, he's only done 1 lap, and he'll try and improve on his second lap. And the damage that he surely will have done to the underside of the car, it won't be stopping him running. It might just be affecting the aero performance ever so slightly. But with 5 minutes to go, he just fancies a second run and a cleaner run to try and at least be better on the board. But it doesn't look like he's improving significantly in the first sector. He might still improve around the lap, because it was the second sector where he ran wide and lost all the time. But I'm sure the Renault will just have a look at that when he comes in on.
Jenny.
Yeah, we saw a similar incident, didn't we, with Lando Norris yesterday, and that resulted in him having to have a floor change. A lot of damage caused by those curbs, and really, if you get them wrong, they can be pretty costly on the underside of the car. So interesting to see what they do once Daniel Ricciardo comes back. I think they'll have to investigate that floor and see just how much damage he's done to it.
Yeah, well, as you say, they've got a couple of hours until qualifying then. And we've got 4.5 minutes left on the clock here. Ricciardo is coming through the final sector now. Albon has returned to the pit lane. He was on the medium tyres for that run just then, and he's still complaining of a lot of understeer on those mediums as he gets pulled back into the garage for what will presumably be the end of his session. So I suppose a little bit more, this is probably about what I would have expected, you know, coming into this weekend. Russell, maybe I wouldn't have gone 4 tenths away from Bottas, but I think I said that 2 or 3 tenths would be a decent performance, didn't I, on the preview show on Thursday?
Yeah, I think you put it at 3, yeah.
Yeah, and that's about where we're at, a little bit beyond that, and Bottas didn't improve and that sort of thing, but yeah, obviously we'll find out in qualifying later on. Jenny.
Yeah, so FP3 last time out, when we were here last weekend, Verstappen was 3 tenths quicker. And I'm just wondering how much, let's put it this way, would Verstappen be leading this session if Hamilton was out there?
Is Hamilton 2 tenths quicker than Bottas around this lap is the question.
And on a lap where Bottas made a mistake, I would say Hamilton would be top of the times, you'd have to say, right now.
It's tough to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
He might be, he might not be. It would be.
Less than 3 minutes to go. Verstappen is going to end the session quickest. And will, for Ricciardo, I should say, in the Renault, and Verstappen now returns to the pit lane. So I think we're in for a really interesting qualifying session. It's always tight in the midfield, but it looks really super competitive again. What can Russell do? What can Racing Point do? Because they are the ones who've got some ground to make up now, both for Perez and for Racing Point, in terms of their championship hopes after the failure last week. McLaren, after not looking particularly anything yesterday, suddenly look like they're in the mix for best of the rest. Gasly's had another really strong practice session. Jack Aitken has impressed me, actually, up against Nicholas Latifi. And you know what? Fittipaldi only 4/10 off Magnussen is not a bad shout, although, again, the length of the circuit is something you have to take into consideration on all of this. But Aitken's been all right. If he can out-qualify Latifi or get near Latifi, I think that's a decent effort. Yeah, lots of questions, I think.
The good thing that Russell has is he's in a Mercedes, which means Q1 and Q2 are practice sessions for him, all things being well. Aitken and Fittipaldi have only got 18 more minutes of driving a Formula 1 car on low fuel. It's going to be Q1, and then they're both going to be going out, and that is their qualifying in the first 18 minutes. Around this lap, I think the gaps are going to be really tight. 4/10 is quite a lot, around 4 corners. That is a reasonable amount of time to be off, to be honest, but Russell can work on that. He's going to get some good data from Bottas right now. He can work at that, and he's got Q1, he's got Q2, maybe even a first run of Q3 to just chip away all the time, work on his driving, look at what Bottas is doing. Bottas clearly is not holding a lot back right now, and Russell's just got to chip away, and then he's going to have so many sets of tyres before he gets to Q3 run 2, which is where it's going to be done for him. For the other rookies, or for the rookies in the Haas and the Williams, Fittipaldi and Aitken, they've only got 2 sets of tyres, maybe 3 sets of tyres they'll probably have around this short lap to get it all done in the next 18 minutes they'll have of driving in Q1.
Bottas coming down to the final corner now. He's on an out lap, and oh, Leclerc's spun. So Charles Leclerc has spun coming out of the final corner. What sort of lap time did it do? 20.3. It wasn't pushing very hard at all. He was a couple of seconds off the pace. He was about 4 seconds off the pace after the first 2 sectors, but he's managed to have a little spin at the final corner. And this, of course, Bahrain, where Leclerc really burst onto the scene, didn't he, a couple of years ago for the Sauber team, and now returns to the pit lane. So checker flag out. Charles Leclerc coming into the final corner at turn 10. God on the power.